Today, in a quiet chapel in Nevers, France, lies a woman who looks like she fell asleep yesterday. But she actually died in 1879. This is Saint Bernadette Soubirous. She lies completely flat on her back, hands clutching a rosary, defying the laws of biology for over 140 years. But her story didn't begin in glory. It began in France. And by 1858 she was just one of 4 children who lived with their parents, packed into a single tiny room. They called this home. February 11, 1858, started like any other cold winter morning in the heart of Lourdes. But for 14-year-old Bernadette, her sister Toinette, and their friend, set out toward the outskirts of town, heading for a jagged cliffside known as Massabielle. To the locals, Massabielle was nothing special. It literally meant old rock. It was a dirty, isolated place where the river washed up rubbish. They were on a desperate mission to find bones and firewood. In their world of extreme poverty, those scraps were a currency. If they found enough to sell, they might finally be able to buy bread or soup for the family. Bernadette felt unusual strong wind. She looked over toward the grotto and saw a beautiful lady, standing over the rocks, with yellow roses at her feet. The lady was wearing a blue sash. She said nothing. First apparition, February 11th. Bernadette sees the lady and prays the rosary. The lady is silent. At the first apparition, Bernadette tried to bless herself, but her hand was frozen. She could not move. She watched as the lady took her own hand and made the sign of the cross with a dignity and slowness that Bernadette had never seen. This was a liturgical lesson, that the simplest gesture of our faith is a weapon of the supernatural. Second apparition, February 14th. Bernadette returns with holy water and throws it at the lady to test if she is a demon. The lady just smiles. The third apparition, February 18th. The first words. Bernadette asks the lady to write her name. The lady says, "It is not necessary," and then makes a famous promise, "I do not promise to make you happy in this world, but in the next." She asks Bernadette to come for 15 days. 4th through 7th apparitions, February 19th to 23rd. These are quiet days of prayer. The crowd grows from a few people to hundreds. The lady teaches Bernadette a personal secret prayer that Bernadette never reveals to anyone. 8th apparition, February 24th. The message changes. The lady repeats,
"Penance, penance, penance. Pray to God for sinners."
Then came the test of obedience. On February 25th, to the 9th apparition, Our Lady gave a command that baffled the thousands watching.
"Go drink at the spring and wash there."
There was no spring. Bernadette began to dig in the muddy corner of the cave with her bare hands. And no water. She ate the bitter weeds, she smeared her face with the mud. The crowd mocked her. They called her a lunatic. But by the next day that hole wasn't filled with mud, it was flowing with crystal clear water. Out of the humiliation of the earth comes the cleansing of the soul. 10th through the 12th apparitions, February 26th to March 1st. Silent prayer and more penance. But on the 12th apparition, the first miracle happens. In the early morning hours of March 1st, a lady named Catherine felt a sudden urge. She woke her young children, walked miles to the grotto, and knelt by the newly discovered spring. Without a word, she plunged her paralyzed hand into the cold, silty water. Instantly, a sensation of warmth rushed through her arm. Her fingers straightened. The paralysis was gone. And the pain had vanished. But the miracle didn't end there. Catherine at home, that same day, gave birth to her son, whom she later named Jean-Pierre. He would grow up to become a priest, a living testament to the very first miracle of Lourdes. 13th apparition, March 2nd. The mission. The lady tells Bernadette, "Go tell the priests that people are to come here in procession and to build a chapel." 14th to 15th apparitions, March 3rd to 4th. The local priest, Abbé Paralyzed, is angry. He demands the lady's name and asks for a sign: make the wild rose bush at the grotto bloom in winter. The lady just smiles. 16th apparition, March 25th. The big reveal. It's the Feast of the Annunciation. Bernadette asks 4 times for a name. Finally, the lady joins her hands and says,
I am the Immaculate Conception.
Bernadette ran straight to her parish priest, Father Paralyzed, repeating the words so she wouldn't forget them. He was a skeptic who had demanded a sign, but when he heard this illiterate girl speak a dogma that only the Pope knew, his heart broke open. It would take 4 more years of investigation, but eventually, the bishop would declare to the world, Bernadette was telling the truth. 17th apparition, April 7th. The miracle of the candle. By the 17th apparition, the crowd at the grotto had grown into the thousands. But among the faithful stood a man of science, Dr. Dozes. He was a local physician who had come to prove that Bernadette was simply suffering from a nervous disorder. During her vision, Bernadette was in a state of total ecstasy, completely unaware of the world around her. She was holding a large, lit blessed candle. As she prayed, her hands moved, and the flame of the candle began to lick directly against her fingers. The flame was seen passing through her fingers and resting against her bare skin. Dr. Dozes, certain he was about to treat a severe burn, pulled out his watch. He timed it. For a quarter of an hour, the fire touched her, but she didn't flinch. When the vision ended, the doctor rushed to her. He grabbed her hand and examined it closely. There wasn't a single blister. Not even a mark of soot. Her skin was perfectly cool. Stunned, the doctor took the lit candle and touched it to her hand while she was awake. Bernadette immediately cried out,
"You're burning me!"
Dr. Dozes, the man who came to debunk her, left the grotto a believer. He later wrote, "I have seen it with my own eyes. I believe." As the healings began, the local authorities in Lourdes didn't see miracles, they saw a threat. The prefect and the mayor feared religious hysteria and civil unrest among the thousands flocking to the grotto. They viewed Bernadette's visions as dangerous delusions, and the spontaneous public worship as illegal. In June of 1858, they took drastic action. Orders came down to shut it all down. Police erected massive wooden barricades around the grotto of Massabielle, blocking all access. Anyone who tried to cross, anyone who left a flower or lit a candle, faced fines or arrest. For the authorities, this was about law and order; for the faithful, it was persecution. The conflict escalated all the way to Paris, reaching the ears of Emperor Napoleon III. He was a secular ruler concerned with maintaining control, not endorsing visions. The prefect of Lourdes demanded his backing to keep the grotto sealed. But the emperor's wife, Empress Eugenie, was a devout Catholic. Her own young son, the Prince Imperial, had suffered from a serious illness. She had been sent water from the miraculous spring, and she firmly believed it had contributed to his recovery. She implored her husband. How could he deny the people their faith when it had touched their own family? She argued passionately that sealing the grotto would cause more unrest than it prevented. Under her powerful influence, the emperor relented. The prefect was ordered to take down the barricades. The grotto was officially reopened. The final farewell. But Bernadette's personal journey with the lady was almost at an end. On July 16, 1858, the feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, the police had once again tried to prevent access. But this time, they weren't successful. Even though the grotto was officially open, officials and new barriers still made it difficult to reach. 18th and final apparition, Bernadette could not stand directly before the niche. She had to walk across the Gave River, observing the grotto from a distance, near the canal. Even from afar, in her final moments with the lady, Bernadette later testified.
I felt that I was at the grotto, just as I was on the previous occasions. I saw the Blessed Virgin, and she was more beautiful than ever.
Bernadette left Lourdes in 1866, but the world never stopped coming. What was once a local, old rock, on the edge of a poor mountain town is now one of the most visited religious sites on earth. Every year, over 6 million pilgrims from every corner of the globe descend upon this small French village. They come in every season, through the heat of summer and the snows of winter, all seeking the same thing, a touch of the supernatural. Whether they find a physical cure or a spiritual peace, no one leaves Lourdes the same. The water that Bernadette was once mocked for digging out of the mud is now bottled and sent to every continent, a symbol of hope that hasn't run dry in over 160 years. The Catholic Church remains the guardian of this miracle, maintaining a level of scientific scrutiny found nowhere else. The Lourdes Medical Bureau still operates today. And time again, science has had to bow its head and simply record the words, non-explainable. It was a private, peaceful goodbye to the woman who had changed her life, her town, and the world forever. She always remembered the words from Our Lady.
I do not promise to make you happy in this world, but in the next.